Hi, I'm Michael Barnard, and this is Indie Film Industry News. We gather information from experts in the independent film industry to help filmmakers achieve success with their movie. Today's guest is Lloyd Kaufman of TROMA Studios with information important for indie filmmaking. Lloyd's TROMA Entertainment has built a library of more than 1,000 movies over the past 3 decades. Lloyd has taught several filmmaking master classes at Yale University. Today, we are going to discuss crowdfunding and its importance to indie filmmakers. Thank you, Lloyd.
Hey, Michael.
It's a pleasure meeting you.
Well, nice to be here.
What about crowdfunding? Independent filmmakers seem to be flocking to it. Not everybody understands what it is. Is it important?
Well, I think that crowdfunding could be a game changer, Michael. I think, unfortunately, through my 40 years of running TROMA Entertainment and bringing you movies like Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead, for you, Michael, this is an example of why crowdfunding is important.
Was this crowdfunded?
This was not crowdfunded, but what's interesting is that the crowdfunding will permit the artist to get around the cartel of giant devil-worshipping international media conglomerates who control the entire world of art. I'm about to go to the Cannes Film Festival, and that festival is no longer a festival for art. It's a festival for Godzilla 2000 or Iron Man or a coterie of bureaucrats who control the French, Spanish, and British art world. So crowdfunding is a way where you can get around the oligopoly that prevents all of us from earning a living. We recently crowdfunded a movie called Occupy Cannes. The TROMA team and I are going to the Cannes Film Festival, and we're going to film a documentary called Occupy Cannes. I'm wearing the official Occupy Cannes fashion statement, and we're going to see whether or not Cannes is really a festival that caters to art, or whether it's there to promote a lot of highly paid bureaucrats and their relationship to Rupert Murdoch and the French elite.
That's a lot.
Now here's why crowdfunding is interesting. The people who give you the money, the people who donate, as the case with Occupy Cannes, they were fans of TROMA and our movies like The Toxic Avenger, Class of Newcomb High, Romeo and Juliet, Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead, and most recently Return to Newcomb High. They donate money to the project and give the artist total freedom. So we don't have to worry about anybody sticking their noses in Occupy Cannes. We have total freedom. So that's a good thing. But what's also interesting is that it gives you some free marketing advice. It's free research. You don't have to go to Boston you don't have to go to Boston Consulting Group for this, where they charge you kabillions of dollars. You can go on Indiegogo or Kickstarter, put up your project, and if people raise their hands and salute, then you know you've got something that people want to see. In the case of Occupy Cannes, and TROMA Entertainment is a very small cult company. We're 40 years of independent movies, but we're a classic cult movie company. 400 people donated money to Occupy Cannes. So that's a pretty good straw in the wind that there is interest out there in the ether and in the marketplace for this movie. People donated money to Occupy Cannes, getting nothing in return except the fact that Occupy Cannes will be made, and they will have an opportunity to see the movie. So that gives us information that, hey, this is good marketing. In other words, there's a market for Occupy Cannes. Now, let's say you want to go raise some more money. Right. Let's say that you've raised $50,000 for your project, and you make the project, and you want to go back and get traditional investors to invest and give them a percentage and do the classic limited partnership. Yeah, equity. You can now go to your traditional greedy investors who want to make money, and you can say to them, hey, 400 people gave money with no incentive, no profit, no nothing, just because they want to see this project made, the Michael Barnard project made, and you go to your traditional investors, hey, 400 people signed up, gave us money. In the case of TROMA, our fans are young and they're poor. So if 400 fans actually give money to raise $50,000, that's pretty serious view into the future. So a traditional investor might say to him, her, or itself, wow, this is going to be Occupy Can. That sounds like there's a market for this. Maybe I will take a shot and put some money into a limited partnership so they can go on and distribute the movie.
So you have found that crowdfunding not only entices the fans to come out and participate, but also helps build the entire marketing structure for your movie.
Well, you can see will the movie be, or your project, your invention, whatever you're doing, is it going to be viable? And if you have 400 people signing up, that's without any advertising, without any baloney, you've got a pretty good sign that, hey, especially if they're young and poor, which our fans are. That gives you a pretty good indication that, wow, there may be a market out there for this project. That's pretty encouraging.
Your background is decades of making independent films. You're incredibly well known for TROMA and for a variety of movies.
The Toxic Avenger is our most famous film, but people like Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the South Park guys, started with us with Cannibal the Musical. Kevin Costner's first movie, and I think his best, Sizzle Beach, USA, started with TROMA.
A lot of people give you a lot of credit for creating what has become the independent film industry, and a lot of the famous independent film directors now look at some of the things that you did as being an inspiration to them. Would you have been able to have done the same type of work, or would it have been better if crowdfunding were available to you 4 decades ago?
Well, 4 decades ago, there was something called competition. There was not something called monopoly or oligopoly or cartelism. It didn't exist when we started. So we were lucky. The consent decree of 1948 was in effect, so the major studios were not permitted to own movie theaters. So if we had a movie that somebody wanted to see, the theaters, there were lots of chains all over the country, many of them family-owned, privately owned, who were actually interested in movies that might attract an audience. Now that the consent decree was done away with, so the movie theaters are all controlled pretty much by either the giant conglomerates or their vassals. Secondly, in 1993, on Bill Clinton's watch, the financial syndication rule was taken away. The financial syndication rule required that the networks program at least 1/3 of their content from independent sources. Also, it prevented the networks from being vertically integrated. When that rule went away, that totally screwed the independent movie companies. And that is why, if you go around the countryside, you see very few independent movie studios that have any longevity. TROMA Entertainment is aberrant. We've been around for almost 40 years, and it's only because we have a fan base, and we've been friends with our fans instead of suing them the way some of the legacy media does. We make friends with our fans, and we give our movies away on YouTube, for example.
Excellent.
There are 250 free movies, including The Toxic Avenger, Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead, All the Love You Can, which was the movie we made 10 years ago at the Cannes Film Festival. The movie which Occupy Cannes that we are currently producing will be compared to. And they're all free. They're free on YouTube.
Excellent. We'll be back in a moment with Lloyd Kaufman to talk a little bit more about crowdfunding. This is Indie Film Industry News. We gather information from experts in the independent film industry to help filmmakers achieve success with their movies.
TROMA Entertainment is aberrant. We've been around for almost 40 years, and it's only because we have a fan base, and we've been friends with our fans instead of suing them the way some of the legacy media does. We make friends with our fans.
What camera should I use? I think today the move to larger sensor cameras, Alexa, Red Epic, Red Scarlet, Canon C300 is a great camera, C500, Sony F5, Sony F55. There's so many, large sensor cameras.
I frequently referred to this as the Miramaxization of independent film. People started throwing so much money at the marketing of independent films that it was hard for smaller films to compete. And it's gotten to the point where trying to put anything into the theatrical marketplace is really not a sustainable business.
We do aggregate an investment audience. We also aggregate an industry audience that consists of sales agents and other industry individuals, executive producers and producers that could help produce your movie.
Basically, it is the goose that laid the golden egg. It allows any taxpayer, when they invest in film or television, it's 100% loss.
We're back with Lloyd Kaufman. So with crowdfunding, it's actually enabled you to do more of what you used to be able to do when the market was a little more free and accepting for independent filmmakers.
Yes, the playing field is totally not equal for everybody. It's like a greased stripper's pole. So the independent filmmaker it's impossible for him or her or it to survive unless allied with the vassal of one of the giant conglomerates. And TROMA has stayed on its own for 40 years. And crowdfunding, we needed a duck. We needed a trained duck in our most recent film, Return to Newcomb High, which we will premiere at the Cannes Film Festival 2013. And the trained duck was very expensive. We didn't have it in the budget of Return to Newcomb High. So we went on Kickstarter, and we did Duckstarter on Kickstarter. And indeed, our fans put up over $10,000 for the trained duck, which was very generous, and thank you.
So now you know your trained duck will cost you $10,000.
Well, we had a lot of overtime. The duck
the duck had overtime.
The duck was supposed to be about. We actually only wanted 4,000. The fans raised 10,000 for us.
Wow, excellent.
And luckily we did, because the duck went into heavy overtime. The duck comes with a trainer and a manager of some sort, and it's not just one duck. You have to take 2 or 3 because they get it's very complicated. They get depressed if they're not with buddies.
Do they have their own trailer?
They fly business class, I'll tell you that. And anyway, thanks to the fans, we have Kevin the Wonder Duck in Return to Newcomb High, which will have its premiere at the Cannes Film Festival.
Are you going to be doing crowdfunding more often?
I don't know, because again, we're a very small company, but I can tell you that Amanda Palmer, who, as you know, Dresden Dolls, and she crowdfunds. She was screwed by her label. I think, at least it looks that way to me. And she went out on her own and raised over $1 million from her fans very quickly. And she's extremely articulate, and she gets it. And I think Louis C.K. Did some, but he's already in with with HBO and all that. But he put his recent comedy stand-up, whatever you call it, on, and I think had his fans donate or something, which is crowdfunding, which is pretty cool, and I think he did very well. I guess you have to have some kind of following. But what might be interesting is if our mainstream directors, who the younger, maybe James Gunn, who started with the TROMA, who is currently producing he's directing Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. Maybe he would go out there and say, screw the system. I'm going to go out, and he's got a big following. I'll go out, and maybe he would like to go out and raise several $1 million to produce and distribute his own movie. He has total freedom. Maybe he and Nathan Fillion is a friend of his. He's got a lot of stars who like his directing. So maybe he gets them together, goes on Indiegogo, and bingo, you've got an independent movie made totally outside the system. And so maybe it's a way to get around the difficult situation we have now. And the lobbying in Washington, of course, is the big guys and the phone companies probably are going to try to do something to throw a monkey wrench into the crowdsourcing.
There's a whole other issue about equity crowdfunding as part of the Jobs Act, which the SEC is apparently very concerned about. With the professional fundraising community is not happy with crowdfunding as an option.
The professional fundraising community doesn't want to let anyone into the club. But Mary Jo White, the new SEC commissioner, she's pretty. She's interesting. She might have a conscience. She might, although she clearly has sold out to a lot of big money. But sometimes when they get in the position where they have some power, sometimes they do the right thing. And I think that if crowdfunding can work for equity investment, which I'm sure it can, but if it's permitted, it may liberate a lot of very interesting art and inventions and innovation, which we sorely lack in this country. Sure. A lot of our innovation is going to Brazil and Argentina because of either the conglomerates that are putting their thumb on everybody, or the regulations which benefit the conglomerates are stopping innovation in this country. So all sorts of stuff is moving out of the country for that reason.
Okay. Well, Lloyd, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Well,
it's a very interesting conversation.
I was interested in myself. I was fascinating. I can't believe how interesting I was. Thank you, Michael.
You absolutely were. Thank you very much. We'll be back with another episode of Indie Film Industry News. Thank you for joining us.